Welcome to humanity's Vanguard Fi and Sci-Fi stories. In a universe of monsters, humans are the true predators. The alien fleet conquered 10,000 systems without hesitation or mercy. Yet on Station X-42, the security inspector froze mid-report. A Class S biological anomaly had breached civilian sectors. Every sensor confirmed the same impossible result. It was still alive. And it was purring. Inspector Veer stood in the dim emergency corridor of Station X-42, watching cracked steel walls shudder under distant impacts. The damage patterns were not caused by weapons, but by something far more personal. 10-centimeter claw marks dragged along reinforced alloy, as if the metal had been torn like cloth. Security drones hovered nervously, projecting red threat overlays that refused to stabilize. Every classification label blinked in warning: Class S Apex Entity, Extinction Level Predatory Instinct, active in civilian quarters. Tactical teams prepared for annihilation protocols, expecting 0 survivors. Yet the audio feed carried something that did not belong in any extinction scenario: soft rhythmic purring echoing through the ventilation grid like a living engine at rest. Veer tightened his grip on the command interface, struggling to reconcile data with reality. The creature was not hunting. It was staying. And that was statistically impossible for its category. The assault team breached the civilian quarters with precision plasma cutters, expecting immediate violent resistance. Instead, they found silence disrupted only by the hum of life support systems and the faint smell of overheated electronics. In the center of the room sat a human engineer, unarmed, surrounded by scattered maintenance tools and glowing Hala schematics. At his feet lay the Apex Entity, a massive quadruped with armored bioplates and thermal vents along its spine, curled like a domestic companion. It reacted to the intruders with a single lazy eye opening before closing again, as if acknowledging background noise. The human barely looked up, adjusting a cracked data tablet while casually scratching the creature behind its reinforced cranial ridge. The soldiers froze, weapons raised but unused. Their threat models collapsed in real time. The galaxy had named this organism World Devourer. The human called it something far simpler: Medor. Dr. Halden, the engineer, finally looked at the armed squad as if they had interrupted a routine maintenance cycle. His expression was not fear, but mild annoyance, like a system notification at the wrong time. The creature at his feet shifted slightly, pressing closer to his leg with unmistakable comfort behavior. Alien linguistics officers scrambled to interpret the interaction. No pheromone alarm signals were detected. No aggression spikes. Instead, the impossible reading appeared: mutual trust. One analyst whispered overcomes that the human brain must be defective, misinterpreting existential threat cues as bonding signals. Halden sighed and returned to his console. "If you're here for Medor," he said calmly, "you're late. He already ate, and now he's resting." The squad leader requested confirmation of reality status. None came. The universe had just contradicted its own survival logic. The scientific observation unit arrived within minutes, isolating the chamber under multilayer containment fields. Xenobiologists studied the creature's behavior with increasing disbelief. Its physiology matched predatory extinction profiles across 12 cataloged civilizations, yet its neural patterns were stabilized in low-energy affiliative cycles. The human remained seated, completely unfazed by the armed containment presence. When asked how long the association had lasted, Halden responded casually that Medor had followed him since a derelict salvage operation near a dead moon. The term "followed" triggered immediate recalibration of all behavioral models. Apex predators did not follow. They hunted or dominated. Yet the creature responded instantly to the human's voice, adjusting posture like a trained companion unit awaiting instruction. The alien researchers revised their conclusion with hesitation. Either humanity had discovered a method of pacifying extinction-level organisms, or they had misunderstood the entire nature of fear itself. The briefing halls of X-42 erupted in theoretical collapse. One senior xenopsychologist proposed a radical hypothesis. Humans did not suppress fear responses in apex organisms, they inverted them. Where most species reinforced avoidance through threat display, humans unknowingly triggered affiliative pathways through behavioral misinterpretation. The evidence was unsettling. Ancient Earth records confirmed domestication of species that were once apex predators in their own ecosystems. Wolves became companions. Felids became household guardians. Even microbial environments within human habitats showed adaptive coexistence rather than eradication. The conclusion was unavoidable. Humans were not apex predators in the traditional sense. They were integration vectors. Every hostile system encountered risked being converted into a bonded extension of their social structure. The galaxy had misclassified humanity as fragile. In reality, they were assimilation engines disguised as civilians. Before containment protocols could be revised, a secondary signal breach occurred. An external faction identified as the Varn Syndicate initiated a boarding action on Station X-42. Their objective was clear: extract the apex entity for weaponization. They struck fast, disabling security nodes and isolating civilian sectors. Halden was neutralized with a stun lattice before he could react. Medor was extracted and placed in a reinforced containment crate. The creature did not resist aggressively. It simply watched its human disappear behind sealed corridors. At that exact moment, station environmental logs recorded a sudden atmospheric pressure shift. Halden's neural activity spiked in silence, transitioning from baseline focus to a state classified as targeted retrieval mode. No alarms were triggered. No verbal threats were issued. The human had not panicked. He had recalculated. Inside the Varn extraction vessel, Medor's containment unit registered unusual structural stress patterns. The creature was not attacking the cage. It was waiting. Meanwhile, deep within Station X-42E's maintenance infrastructure, Halden moved alone through service ducts, using only engineering tools and environmental schematics. Security feeds failed to track him consistently. Not due to stealth technology, but due to predictive routing exploitation. He knew the station better than its designers. Every corridor, every airflow conduit, every redundant access node became part of a moving map of inevitability. The Varn operatives dismissed him as irrelevant until the first system failure cascaded through their ship. Airlocks misfired. Gravity nodes inverted for fractions of seconds. Not enough to kill. Just enough to disrupt control. Something was hunting them inside their own machine, and it was not the creature they had stolen. The first Varn squad vanished in the ventilation lattice without warning. No gunfire was recorded, only abrupt silence and displaced equipment drifting into maintenance shafts. Halden emerged briefly in surveillance feeds, expression unchanged, holding a standard torque wrench. To the aliens, it looked absurd. To the station systems, it was optimization under extreme constraints. The human did not fight as a soldier. He fought as a technician correcting an error in reality. Each confrontation was a correction cycle, not an engagement. Panic spread through the extraction vessel as operators realized their internal mapping was being rewritten in real time. The ship was no longer theirs. It was being repurposed. And somewhere within its core, Medor's containment field began to fail not due to breach protocols, but because every system holding it together had been silently repurposed for release. When Halden finally reached the central containment chamber, Medor's crate opened without ceremony. The creature stepped out slowly, scanning the environment, then locked onto its human. There was no roar, no dramatic aggression shift. Instead, it pressed its armored head against Halden's shoulder, initiating a resonance contact response that stabilized both biological signatures. Then they moved. Together, the Varn expected a rampage. What they witnessed was coordination. Human and Apex entity moving through corridors as a unified system, hunting disruption nodes with surgical precision. The galaxy had feared a monster. It had failed to understand it was looking at a bonded pair. Not master and beast, but convergence. The ship was no longer an extraction vessel. It had become a hunting ground. Station X-42 was restored within hours, but the records were permanently altered. Inspector Vair finalized his report in silence, watching Medor rest beside the human engineer once more, both calm, both synchronized. He appended a final classification note that would be flagged for High Command review. "We assumed the Apex entity was the threat," he wrote. Correction, it was the human who decided what a threat meant. The galaxy learned something it will not record in official archives. It is not the apex predator that defines survival. It is the one who decides what danger becomes. Humans do not conquer fear. They reclassify it. They live beside it. And sometimes they call it family if you want to explore more stories where humanity bends the logic of the universe itself, where every assumption about power collapses under quiet human instinct. Subscribe to humanity's Vanguard. Because in every system, in every war, in every impossible encounter, humanity does not arrive as expected. It arrives as the correction.